Shalom friends, this is Eliyahu Sher from Chesed Ve'emet, my site www.lovingkindness.co, and today we're learning from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We're starting our learning from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch written by Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried, and you'll see on the screen a short biography of Rabbi Ganzfried as is brought on the Wikipedia. The Wikipedia is a fantastic resource if you're looking for biographies of rabbis or just general information about various books that are written. And so we're going to take a very brief look at some points that are in the Wikipedia about Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried, and then immediately afterwards we're going to start learning from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and I'll be telling you more about why I've chosen to start the learning in this particular area. Now, Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried was a Hungarian rabbi, as we see on the screen over here, an Orthodox rabbi, which means in the fullest sense that he followed the mainstream way of Jewish thought, Torah, halacha, and he was of course a posek, he was a halachic authority, and he composed this main work called the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the abbreviated Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch was of course composed by Rabbi Yosef Karo. He lived from 1488 to 1575, so the Shulchan Aruch was composed in the 16th century. And the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch's purpose, of course, is to really give one a summary of that magnum opus that Rabbi Yosef Karo wrote, although the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch is in itself a halachic work to itself, and one can learn much halacha from the Kitzur itself. Now, Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried also wrote another major work, which we're not looking at the moment, known as the Kesed HaSofer. And the Kesed HaSofer is a major work of 28 chapters, which deals with the laws of Sofrut. If a person wants to become a scribe, he has to become a master in those 28 chapters. Anyway, so we see over here that he was an outstanding Torah authority in, of course, all areas of Torah, especially in summarizing or basically all the areas of Torah, as well as the laws for a person to become a sofer. Now, what we need to know about, other than the fact that he came from Hungary and so on, is that his major work on the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, which was published in 1864, he said himself that the book includes from the 4 sections of the Shulchan Aruch those necessary and essential laws for all people in Israel in order to know them, and are written in a simple language and a correct order. It is a good compilation and effective, Be'ezrat Hashem, for businessmen that do not have the time to delve into the Shulchan Aruch and its commentaries. They shall find in this work that which they require with ease, and also be able to educate the youth and plant in their hearts the commandments of Hashem in their youth, and so that also in their later life they will not leave them. So basically, his work is here to tell us all of Jewish law. A person who might not have the time to study all of the Shulchan Aruch, he can go to the Kitzur and he can find all of the laws that are applicable for a Jew from the moment that he wakes up in the morning right up until his very last day in the world when he leaves this world. All the halachot, all the Jewish laws are included in this work. Now, he based himself on 3 Ashkenazi authorities, as we see here. And for those who are interested, please take a look at the Wikipedia and click on these links to find out more about the rabbis over here. He based it on the teachings, the psakim, the laws from Rabbi Yaakov Loberbaum, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, who might be a familiar name to many people, the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, who was also the author of the Shulchan Aruch Harav and also the author of the Tanya, and he's known as the Baal HaTanya. And Rabbi Avraham Danzig, the author of the Chaya Adam and the Chochmas Adam, also works which are abbreviated, works, these books from Rabbi Avraham Danzig, and also suitable, especially for businessmen who don't necessarily have the time to spend studying all of the Shulchan Aruch. Now, it's interesting to note that the Shulchan Aruch itself, written by Rabbi Yosef Karo, was also based on 3 main rabbis, namely Rabbi Yitzhak Alfasi, known as the Rif, Maimonides, known as the Rambam, and Rabbi Asher ben Yechiel, known as the Rosh. And as he points out over here in the Wikipedia, the Kitzur became immensely popular after its publication due to its simplicity, and it's still popular within Orthodox Judaism as a framework for study. And he brings down over here that there are also other books that have been written throughout time where people wanted to turn to an abbreviated code, and they were able to get the information that they wanted to from these works, such as the books of the Ben Ish Chai, the Chaya Adam, which we said before already, and so on and so forth. We have the Mishnah Brura also, and various other popular works that help us to understand halakha to the fullest extent on different levels, in different amounts and volume, and as much as a person wants to learn, it's all available for him. So the Kitzur is a daily guide to living in everything that a person could want to know about in terms of Jewish law. It's a great starter. The Hebrew is not too difficult, and so for those people who might want to be wanting to improve on the Hebrew, this is a great place to start. We'll be reading the Hebrew from the site sefaria.org, another outstanding site which includes a database of literally hundreds of books in Hebrew and English available for the public. It is all public property, which means that if one wants to, one can contribute to it, and one can learn the material from the site and print it out, and you could do what you want with it, use it for shiurim and compile source sheets and really study a lot of Torah from the site. So we're learning the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We're on Siman 1, we're on chapter 1, which deals with the laws of how a person has to conduct himself in the morning. So what we're going to do is read the Hebrew together, and we're going to be translating it as well. I don't always refer to the translation that you'll see on the left-hand side, so if my translation is slightly different, please understand that's just because that's the way I'm used to translating. But of course, you're welcome to read the English as we go along and get a clear idea of what it is that we're learning. So we're going to be waking up in the morning, and we need to know what to do. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch begins as follows, the first halachot for a Jew in the morning. And the halacha begins, it says, Shivisi Hashem lenedi samid. I placed Hashem before me always. These, of course, are the words of King David HaMelech, from the book of Psalms in Tehillim. And he teaches us that his way was to literally place Hashem before him at all times. That means, of course, that a person can imagine that Hashem is in front of him, which, of course, he should do, because although it's difficult to understand who God is, God's presence fills all of existence. And our duty really now is to imagine that he's there. We have to put on some sort of special glasses, and we have to take a look and realize that God is around us. We are in his presence continually, and whatever we're doing, wherever we are, that is where God is as well. And so therefore, the key to success in terms of one's ability to fear God and to acknowledge that he is there is to imagine that he's there, to start putting on those glasses to realize Hashem is in front of me. One of the ways that the rabbis tell us one can do this also, and the higher level, of course, to do it, is to literally imagine God's four-letter name in front of one's eyes. Yud, and then a Hey, and then a Vav, and then another Hey. This is God's tetragrammaton, the four-letter name of God. And many people have the custom that if, once they're working on themselves very much, is literally to see the letters in front of them so that they imagine that God is there and they are in the presence of God. So this is Hu Klal Gadol BaTorah. The Kitzur tells us that this is a great rule in the Torah. Uvema'alos hatzadikim. And in the levels of the righteous people, the tzadikim, asher holchim lifnei Elokim, they go in the way of God. So a person who wants to go in the way of God, he says, how do I follow God? Where do I begin? The first step is to acknowledge that God is there. To literally put God in front of one wherever one is. Ki ein yeshivas ha'adam tenu aso v'asakav v'hu levado b'veiso. And he points out here that a person's way of sitting and his movements and everything that he does when he's by himself in his house is not kamo yeshivaso utenu aso v'asakav kashehu lifnei melech gadol. Is not like the way he would sit and he would move about and do things as he would if he was in the presence of a great king. Then, of course, if he is in the presence of a great king, he's got to put on a bit of a show. He's got to be very careful. What does he say? How does he stand? How does he sit? He's very, very careful about what he does. So when a person acknowledges that he's in the presence of God, he has to behave in the same way. But people think differently. So when they feel that they're not in God's presence, they feel they can do whatever they want to. Nobody's watching. But the reality is that he has to learn to acknowledge and to realize that God is there, and then he'll realize that if it was a king in front of him, he'd behave in a certain way, then of course all the more so when he's in the presence of the King of Kings. Also the way that a person speaks with the members of his family and his relatives. It's not the same as a person would do if he was in the presence of the king. Because then he's going to pay particular attention. And all his speech and everything, his movements and everything will be fitting as it should be. All the more so when a person really pays attention. When he starts to think in his mind that the great king, the Holy One, blessed is he, fills all of the whole earth with his glory. He stands upon him and he sees his deeds. Like the pasuk says over there, the verse says, can it be that a person will hide himself in hidden places and I won't see him, says Hashem? But I fill all of the heavens and all of the earth. Then immediately, when a person starts to think this, then he will get this fear upon himself. And the humility, from the fear of Hashem, he'll be in fear of Hashem, and he'll feel a sense of embarrassment to be in his presence, and he'll realize that he has to behave in a certain way. And then in brackets, the Kitzur points out exactly where he's quoting from. This actually comes from Orach Chaim, Seif Aleph, the very first chapter of the main Shulchan Aruch, and it starts in this way, and he's quoting it at this point in time verbatim. Now, in Seif 2, we're going to learn 2 halachot for today. In Seif 2, he says, when a person is lying down in his bed, he should know in front of who he is lying down. He should come to think, I'm lying on my bed, but still I'm in the presence of something else here. Immediately when he wakes up from his sleep, he should remember the kindnesses of Hashem. Yisbarach Shmo, may his name be blessed. That Hashem did with him. What did Hashem do? What's this kindness that he did? We're starting off right in the early morning. He's lying on his bed. He just woke up in the morning. That he returned to him his soul. That a person entrusted to God in a state of being tired. And then he returned it to him, new and refreshed. And the purpose that God returned the soul to the person is in order for him to serve Hashem. Yisbarach Shmo, to serve Hashem, may his name be blessed. With all of his ability, and to serve him the whole day. So the purpose that a person's soul is placed into the body is in order to serve Hashem, in order to pray to Hashem, in order to do the mitzvot, in order to study Torah. These are the things we have to do towards Hashem. This is the reason that we have the soul in the body. So when we go to sleep at night and we're feeling tired, and then God renews us and he puts the soul back into the body in the morning, and it's all fresh and feels strong again, the reason that we have the strength is not just that we go out and do whatever it is that we feel like doing during the day, but rather we do everything for the sake of Hashem. He says, because this is the purpose of a person. Like the verse says, Chadashim labekarim rabba emunasecha. New ones in the morning. Great is your faith. Peirush, which means b'chol boker, every single morning. Na'aseha adam b'riyah chadasha. A person is a new creation. And this is literally what the verse is coming to teach us. That every single day when a person wakes up, he is a new creation. And he has to thank Hashem every single morning. Yisbarach Shmo, also, he has to thank Hashem every single morning about this. So when a person is still lying down in his bed, and he hasn't yet left his bed, he's just woken up in the morning, Yomar, he should say, which means, I give thanks before you, the living and eternal King, that you have returned To me, my soul in mercy, great is your faith, great is your faithfulness, great is your, I have faith in you, I know that you will return it, I thank you, and in a certain respect, I realize that you have faith in me also. You have the faith that I will do what I should be doing during the next day. And even though he hasn't yet washed his hands, because later on the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch is going to teach us we have to wash our hands for various reasons that we're going to learn about later. But even though we haven't washed the hands, which is important for davening, and we're going to be reciting God's name and things like that, so we need to have pure hands. The hands have to be clean. Still a person can say this particular prayer, because there isn't in it the name of God. And since there isn't the name of God, one can say this brief prayer. And a person should make an interruption, a little bit of interruption between the word of chemla, which means in mercy, the tevas rabbah, and the word great. Great is your faith. Great is your faithfulness. When you say those two words, rabbah, emunasecha, so at that point in time, those two words go together, and the previous sentence goes together, and that's where the break is. And then he quotes us, and he tells us it comes from the Magen Avraham, Yad Ephraim. He tells us exactly the sources of where he's quoting from. So that's two halachot that we've learned today. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you'll join me for another shiur. This is Eliyahu Sher again, and you can see my site at www.lovingkindness.co. And if you feel that you wish to contact me for any reason, you'll see what I'm doing on the site. Please feel free and be in touch. I look forward to another shiur with you shortly. Shalom, shalom.